Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of the Diz Unlimited podcast, coming to you live from the studio that dreams built. I'm Rhino, and I'm going to be leading this Disney discussion today with none other than Hannah Anderson.
Hello, and I'm going to try not to be as sassy as I was last week. Just want to say that. Sorry.
I didn't think you were sassy. Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you want to see? That's how I feel like I just said that to you.
Yeah, you're right.
We got Craig Williams on the piano.
Hey, sorry we're late. I was at Epcot getting rained on, so I could get additional photos for today's show.
Oh, rainy photos, yeah.
Wow.
Well, it just cleared out by the time I got back to the Communicore Hall area, but it'll be a spoiler for later on in the show. But when we originally were there as part of the media preview that we were at Walt Disney World for the past couple days, they had it set up for a party, which they always do that. So that night, while everyone's covering it like, this is what it's going to look like, this is how it's going to be, that's not how it's ever going to be. So
the tables,
we don't
you mean,
bother with that. Yeah, you mean it's constantly going to be set up for like this grand festival of everyone that Walt Disney World invited? Absolutely not. So we were busy at Tiana's all day yesterday, and then today was my first chance, and it's not a great day here in Orlando. So apologies to the live people who are watching right in this moment. You know what? Wanted to do something nice, but
That was a marathon, Craig. That's pretty impressive, I got to say.
No, I believe it was 0.5 miles, and I needed a cooling station along the way as well as umbrellas.
And a water, and I feel that.
Oh, I'm going to be getting that misting umbrella fan.
Me
that I
too.
keep seeing on social media. Good.
It's in my Amazon basket.
Okay, me too. But it's like out of stock right now, so it's like it was like it won't ship till like July.
You're right. Yeah.
Anyway, before we get too far into this, I just want to remind everybody that this and everything that we do is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. They're experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. When you book with them, it costs you nothing extra on your trip. You help support the channel and all the content that we produce here. So check them out, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no obligation quote. It's also brought to you by our Patreon supporters. We couldn't do it without you. If you want to learn more about how you can get exclusive content from different members of the Diz team and join in on our live Patreon post show immediately following the show, you can head over to patreon.com/DizUnlimited. And if you are watching this on YouTube right now, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, the little bell. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The little bell is going to tell you when videos go live and we publish new things and all that fun stuff. So you don't have to worry about keeping track of your schedule.
Ding ding.
We got it for you. So obviously we did experience a lot of Disney First this week. So we're going to start with the big one. A new dessert has found its way to Disney Springs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Tiana's Bayou adventure. And Hannah, unfortunately, I believe right before we were starting, you said you didn't have the chance to experience it yet because you are a Jinx or...
I don't know. The one time I tried it went down. So we'll see. I'll write it eventually. So I will sit and listen to your stories.
Well, let me weave you a tale, and it starts down in the Bayou of New Orleans. I feel like I knew the lyrics to The Devil Went Down to Georgia better, and that's the vibe I was going for, but...
story.
So I guess, the big thing is going to be people are going to ask us what we thought of the ride, and then they're going to tell us we were wrong.
Yikes, too
it doesn't
soon.
matter what we say. I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't matter what we say, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. You know what? And that's okay. We're going to tell you what we felt about it. And if you agree or disagree, that's great. We'd like to hear it either way. So we're always open to a open and honest discussion about it. So
really quick about that.
Yeah.
That was my sassy comment. Is I'm sorry that I said y'all need to get over yourself. I need to get over myself. I do appreciate
I need to get over myself.
I know.
Yeah.
I do appreciate all opinions. I was just being sassy. So sorry about that. appreciate your comments.
Well,
Unless you hurt my feelings.
I'll probably be the sassy one today because
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is true.
I'm fat, eating bread.
Yeah, I ate a lot of bread. I ate a lot of bread.
Yeah,
I
got that.
I am running. I'm running on fumes right now
I'm
after
sure.
Lighthouse Point, barely sleeping and trying to get all of that done, and then straight into the next media adventure, and like the fact that I'm in a mentally terrible place right now because in the past 6 days now, I think I've seen my son for about the equivalent of like an hour. So
Yeah, that'll mess
I'm
you
feeling
up.
a little testy, but yeah, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion about Tiana's Bayou adventure. And I also want to preface, because I know we're going to talk about it here. We obviously rode because of the media preview, and usually the feedback we're able to give in those moments are like, yeah, we got to ride so many times to really take it in and see it all and do it all. And that was not the case with this event. And I also am not saying it as a way to complain about it, because I was happy to get the access to be able to do it the 2 times that I was able to. But there was issues. Like the ride was supposed to be up and running at a certain point in time to start accommodating people, and it was not going. And so, like, to the point that I think we were in the line for 45 minutes, an hour, and then they made us all leave the actual queue. And
That's not
then
great.
got right back in there again when they said it was reopened. And then we I'd say it was probably about another 40 minutes before we were able to actually ride for the first time. So, yeah, we got to wait like other people, not the 3 and 4 hour horror stories that are out there, but
Mine.
you know, very very similar to how it could end up being on a regular park day, where you know everything is running efficiently, but you're waiting in that queue for 90 or so minutes. So we did some time waiting, and then we only got to ride the 2 times because our window was so short and bad weather impacted the nighttime events. And by the time we made it over to the attraction thinking we'd be able to jump on again for a dusk ride or maybe even a night ride, they turned us away and said, nope, it's closed. And it apparently closed like an hour earlier than it was supposed to for us. So we don't have a lot of great information to share right now, because the opportunities that we had to ride were with rider cam on us, and gonna be playing little bits of it for the video here, not the entire thing, just little bits. So you're gonna see like stuff behind us, but it's nothing that I feel like hasn't really been released in spoilers or in other videos, and it's just the background. So spoiler alert, but not a big deal in my opinion with it. But we're doing this rider cam video that Disney provided using our own cell phones, and they obviously needed to light it because there's parts of the attraction that are extremely dark, and for that reason we had a big light in our faces the entire time. So it was a struggle to see anything when we're actually floating through the bayou.
Is anyone out there?
Yeah.
That's what this looks like right now.
It looks like Halloween
Yeah.
Horror Nights, actually.
and that's why in this I'm like constantly looking off to the side, because I do like looking straight forward as well as side to side, but the more straightforward
It
you
was
look,
scary,
the
so
less
you
you
can
could
see I'm
actually see.
It looks like a black trash
Yeah,
bag.
I'm holding a black trash bag over my face because it's scary.
Yeah. So that has tainted our actual opinion of it, I think, a little bit, since we didn't actually get to experience it in the right way that many people will. But I did it twice, so I feel like I at least can form a solid, an okay, if not solid opinion on it. And the long story short of all this rambling, I actually do like it. I like it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I know people are probably like, well, when are you gonna show the full ride through? Well, as soon as we went down the drop, it zoomed into like 3 times or maybe more.
Looks
So
great.
we don't have the ending. And the worst part is we did this big long review right at the end, and we're like sharing all our thoughts in the moment. Video is just completely ruined. So good time.
Yeah, don't take your tops off on rides, and the video doesn't get edited.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that's
But
true.
That's
Lesson
what
learned.
now I didn't know, and now I do.
there you go.
right.
So I liked it. I'll share more. But Rhino, what was your first takeaway on it?
So I tried not to watch. I'm one of those people where it's like I don't want to be, because Let me preface this because I am celebrating the fact that after today we don't have to talk about it anymore, and it's not because I don't like it. It's
Until the
just
grand opening.
This part of it is like ad nauseum when you are here, but I get it because it's like we got to get the information out there, we got to get the ride out there. Everybody wants, is thirsty for those little bits of details and everything like that, and so it is hard when you are like deep in that community or deep into this thing, and you're just like like trying to save a little piece because and that's kind of Hannah's comment about being sassy, like whatever. It is one of those things where it is like. Tensions can be high. So I basically saw like the little bit, I'm talking like flashes of the attraction beforehand. So I felt like I was fortunate enough to kind of ride it with like a blank canvas almost. And I will say this about it. I thought it was very lush. There was a lot of greenery. I really liked the that first bit when you come around that bend where everyone's staring at you on the wall. And they're like, hey, who are you? I like that bit there. It really felt like it was like a fun little Bayou type area. I mean, I've never been there, but I have been in Wekiva Springs at Disney, and there's a lot of Spanish moss, so I can say that. But I put myself into the perspective where I have no strong feelings on Splash Mountain. So I'm trying to be like, okay, I've come to Walt Disney World for the first time ever, and I am going to experience this attraction that I know nothing about. Maybe I didn't even hear about it, but I maybe know this movie. Maybe I don't. And I'm watching it, and I feel like the ride conveys its storyline incredibly clear. Like I knew exactly what they were trying to do. I thought it was fun. I thought the screen aspect, our friend felt the opposite, but I know there was a lot of people concerned about the screens. I thought the screens, like especially when you are inside of like the mountain, inside of the salt mine, it was really cool. Like I'm a sucker for like little fireflies, like twinkling lights and stuff like that. And so like looking out there, and then I felt like the screens did exactly what I want screens to do. They turned a blank wall into something that did a little bit more, and it gave a little bit more life. And I don't necessarily think we lost anything because of that either. I just feel like, I don't know. It was one of those where I was like, this is like kind of romantic and relaxing. Yeah. I even tried to hold Craig's hand, and he batted it away.
No, I did not. You shut up, you liar.
Yeah.
I held it tight the whole time because you were afraid.
Fingers laced.
When you go on a lap bar ride with Craig, there is nothing but touching thighs. So because they were like, "Sir, pull the lap bar down." And I'm like, "It's on his leg."
Wow, that was romantic. Touching thighs.
No, but overall, our ride stopped multiple times. Again, that was, the amount of logs that are on the ride, the rider cam, stuff like that. So it's not without issues. Also, there are a lot of animatronics in this ride that are doing the best, doing their most. They are moving a lot. They're doing a lot. And I'm just like, I'm kind of like, oh, wow, this is really cool. This is really cool. This is really cool. And I thought it was fun. And I was thinking, I know the big thing about the drop is a lot of people are like, oh, well, they should have had the Shadow Man and whatever. And after experiencing it, I don't think I agree with that, because this whole vibe for this whole ride is that you are trying to find all these musicians, and you've shrunk down at one point to find the smallest musicians you can to help with the rest of the band. Which gives you this really unique perspective, and then you've got to grow back. But then it's this like mount where like the music is starting to play, and so like there's like a mist with some lights through it, and it kind of it makes me feel like you should be like stomping and clapping and like, and so like the dip is the crescendo of that excitement, the drop, and so you're just like, I'm ready to party, and like and you'd have your hands up from dancing, and that's what I feel like it's supposed to be conveying. And so I was like, that's fun. But
Rhino, it makes no sense. There are no mounds or mountains in Louisiana.
See, I don't know anything about that.
That is
I've
true.
never been.
Well, New Orleans is like basically in, it's like below sea level. So it's like in a crater. So,
it makes no sense in that way. How would you go down? So,
but I will say that final scene where you like come in and they're playing the song, and it's Tiana's dress is gorgeous, and we got a hoot out of Mama Odie's like snake friend that would be like, whoop, like behind the beignets would pop up.
I forgot about him.
Yeah,
Juju,
he was funny. And I do get what they did with all the critter stories, because you do go through and you're like, oh, I like that. I like that guy flapping his tail on the drum, you know.
Okay, cute. Little
Was he a
beaver?
platypus? Beaver.
Beaver,
There
yeah.
it is. Well, I wouldn't know. So it's just like, you know, there's like your favorites there. There was, you know, Craig and I took to the Chunky Frog. There was a
Mondo
who kept showing up
Mondo, the
everywhere.
chunky
Oh
frog,
no,
I
he's
like
talking
it.
about the small frog. I don't know
Yeah.
if the small
Oh,
frogs
okay.
are supposed to be Mondo too, but Mondo is the frog that's drumming right before you drop down into
The big guy.
And yeah,
But
so
he
he's
might
fun.
be. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know if he's
okay.
supposed to be the same frog that we see because there's these like couple of frogs we see the whole way, and it's like
Okay.
I don't know, it's cute, and
I'll
it's
look for
definitely
that.
one of those. Craig is correct. It was hard because it's so dark in here, and when someone is flashing a light right here, I almost tried to do this in the video,
Yeah,
and I was
for
like,
sure.
well, now they're not going to see me, and like, so it is like we haven't had that full, you know, the full experience like a regular guest will have yet.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, okay, it's got rewritability because you're like, I want to see more of these things around here, and there's parts where, we could rip it apart and be like, you know what, there could have been an animatronic there, it could have been there. I do kind of wish there was a couple more non-super lively animatronic, like statuettes ones that, like, you know, on like Small
Okay,
World,
right.
where they just have like the one movement or something.
Okay.
You know, here or there, but it's like I would never be like it needs more or anything like that. That's just me being the Disney fan going through everywhere and being
Sure.
like, I'm looking for a problem.
Yeah,
here.
there was one noticeable gap in my opinion, and not the first exterior portion, or I guess the first upper exterior portion. Like when you first come up over the hill and you're riding where you know everyone stands and watches, you actually do kind of feel immersed in that section. Like it
That's
doesn't
cool.
look overly dense from the outside, but when your log comes over that hill for the first time, like you're taken away, like right away, because it does feel like, okay, I'm at the outskirts of the bayou where I'm starting to get into it, but it's not super deep yet. And then, you know, I know some people are like, well, on the upper part, you know, they took away a lot of the whimsy that was up there and they just added vegetation, stuff that's being grown for Tiana's foods. I didn't mind that either. The only place I thought there was a real gap is once you're inside. I think it's after you see the first set of music, there's just this one extra dark area that felt like if they had one more set of animatronics here or something video related, it would help fit in a little bit more. But to counter that, there's this one area after you see the second set of musicians before you get to where Mama Odie shrinks you down. And in that section, it starts where you start to hear like the buzzing of the bayou still keeping the music going, and things get just a little quieter because the music is starting to fade as you're getting further in. And at that point, like it's just straight up feels like you're on Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean in the beginning opening section of the bayou, and that's what they have. And there's many parts of this attraction that feel like the best aspects of Navi River Journey. I'm not saying Navi River Journey is a good attraction. I'm saying the best
Rory would
parts
disagree.
of it.
Well, there was a part
Yeah.
where he said, "Oh, I like these," and I said, "Your son's gonna love that." It was
Yeah.
like the lily pad frog thing effect again that they did.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I thought even when there were gaps, sometimes it was a nice reset. I hate just going back to it. It provided the vibes, and this is where I know I felt about it last week when we talked about this, and I'm still standing by it. Whether or not the ride has a story, whether or not you want to accept the story, whether or not you want to like the story, that is all on you. But there is a story being told. It is the story is you are out to find musicians for Tiana's big Mardi Gras celebration. The queue, which is been redone remarkably. I know you talked a little bit about that last week. The queue is great. It is a complete upgrade in every way, shape, and form. And losing, detailed carved signs to be replaced with ones that are flatter. I got there and I'm like, the carved ones were great, but these aren't bad. Like, let's take a second and breathe a little bit. We don't have to just attack absolutely everything with it, but the queue is great, and it does set up that backstory of what's happening in the past year as Tiana is becoming a successful food proprietor and is able to have a Mardi Gras celebration where everyone is being invited, but she's got to find the entertainment. And so it is there. you can say it's a bad story. You can say it's not fun, that it has no tension. It's still there. And
there's literally a newspaper that says princess turns food like I forget what it was. It was in the gift shop, I think, but it said princess. No, it says you exit like princess something turns, and it literally is the story. Yeah. It was a newspaper article, and it was being written about Tiana being a princess who has now started this food empire.
Yeah, nice. And also
I don't think they said empire though, because that would imply like.
And I like the only other thing I have to say with it is just I'm trying to find the right words for it.
Wisely.
I understand that some people are taking the idea of story and they're like running with it specifically from the if you look up the definition of a story, then it involves some sort of conflict. And I mean, at its heart, technically, we can't find these people. We need to find them. That is a conflict, whether or not it's a strong one. It's still part of it. But I just please experience the ride. Go and see it for yourself. And if you still hate it after that, that is perfectly fine. But I don't the 2 times I rode it, even with the issues, again, full disclosure on it, there was not a single animatronic that was in sync with the actual talking. Things weren't working. Mama Odie, the second time I rode, the last Mama Odie with Juju trying to steal the beignets, she was just slumped over, basically, at that point. There were so many issues. But the first ride through Rhino and I did, while nothing was in sync, you still saw and you heard everything right. So I was getting the idea of it. And honestly, I'm assuming that's what was causing the issues. But ultimately, they had to get people on. And it also makes sense why they didn't want us taking photos and videos on the ride as part of it. But even with all those issues aside, that I am feeling confident that Disney will try to address and fix before its opening, or I don't know what they'll do. They can't push it back anymore at this point. Yeah. But you can't. People have now made plans specifically around it, so
they got a little more time.
They've got time. I honestly think they should cancel previews.
Yeah, I don't think they should.
If that's what helps get this going, cancel it, because previews are technical rehearsals. Things can go wrong. It can close at any time. I think people have also forgotten that. Maybe it's not worded enough with it, but it's still when you're so excited for something and you're looking forward to seeing it first. They've now turned it where it feels more like I get to see it first, not I get to see it if it's working or not. But I call me a show all you want with it. I liked it. The vibes were there the entire time through. Like I've said since the Splash Mountain days, it has a good skeleton. That the Flume ride is paced perfectly, just like it was before. It's water moves at that speed that it moves through there. It still has that element to it. I like the Princess and the Frog music. It still has awesome music through there. You still have the drop, which I smile through. We watched that clip. Rhino clearly didn't.
I am scared of drops. Here's what happened with the drop, and I'm going to be 100% honest. It stopped at the bottom of the hill. It stopped for a split second going up the hill, but just enough where you're like, did the cart just come loose? In my brain, that's probably not a reality that can happen. And then when it stopped again? Right when it started to go, right when it got to the tippy top, it did that jerk thing again.
Oh, that would have freaked me out.
And that's where I was just like, okay, how do I not panic? And that's why in the video, I think you can probably hear me say, this is my worst nightmare. Yeah. Because
but I loved it.
I didn't do this till I was old. I'm afraid of heights. The dropping thing. But I just to really put my nail in the coffin on the discussion about the tension and everything like that, I like it better when it's Celebrate. I like it. I like the idea of this drop better. I love the idea of it not being like, well, I guess I'm going to die now. Yeah. And that's why I love Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And I was thinking about it, and you're like, oh, what other rides? Like Goofy's flying, the scariest Disney ride that you'll ever do in any park is Goofy's flight training thing in California Adventure.
The Sky School.
It's Mickey's
Sky
Fun
School.
Wheel for me still.
It is, and I would never step foot on that. But the part of it is where you're like, I feel like I'm going to be ejected from the cart, but it's like goofy and it's fun and it's like, whoa. Like it's not everything needs that scary element. Like I get it. It's that thing about Disney where we want to overcome the villain and things like that.
Right.
But you know, but I like this party celebration. I think that's the vibe I look for in the parks a lot lately, especially like they had a DJ the other day at Hollywood Studios, and I was like, why don't they always have a DJ? This is great. Like, it puts you in it's the same reason why I love Mickey's Mixed Magic at Disneyland, like the reason why people like parades. I think you get really into that music, and you're like, oh, it's the dancing, it's the exciting, and this ride encapsulates that feeling.
About that, and the movie's all about that too. So I mean, and it's family friendly. So I liked it. I like basically how they really shared a lot. They were very on the surface about how they explored what they were doing and stuff like that. I enjoyed it. I think that people who want to like it are going to like it. I think those who are indifferent, I think you are going to like it. But ride it for yourself and see for yourself. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can pout and cry as much as you want, but we don't go backwards. We go forwards.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what Joshua said in here earlier too, saying like in terms of the simplicity of a plot with no real actual, no villain at its core, any tension with it. Rock and Roller Coaster, an e-ticket attraction that everyone loves.
Wait a second.
Literally, the point is,
I love that idea.
Yeah, literally,
the point of that
attraction is. Yo, we're inviting you to a concert, and we got to get you there
Craig,
fast
the
in a
villain
limo.
in that story is the L.A. traffic.
That is
yeah,
true.
right.
Okay.
And
Well,
it'll
is the
always
villain.
be the villain.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and in this villain, in this attraction, the villain, the Bayou itself, because it's hard to navigate at night. Luckily, you have fireflies who guide you on the way, and they remind you many times, oh, we need to keep finding more critters for our band. We're going to let these ones join the band. The story is so straightforward. You can hate it. Oh, I like it.
Okay, but
Can't
you
wait
know
for
what?
it.
I do just want to say what my favorite part is.
Yes. Not the frog, the chunky frog.
No, I do like that chunky frog. But Craig brought it up. It's that first part when you first take off for the ride, you know, and you're like outside still, and it's before you do the little mini drop. But it's like where the vegetable garden is. There's like a statuesque Lewis, like you know, it's not really an animatronic. It's just butt is sticking up with a tail in the air, but Lewis's voice is so funny to me. Yes. So and he's just like, oh, I'm looking over here for the thing, and you're like, I laughed, like I was like, I love this little bit. And I was like, and he's not even doing anything. He's just a flipped over cart, but it's a giant alligator in a tiny garden, and with this like one of the best Disney character voices, and it's just like I love that he's the voice in the line and stuff like that. Yes, so there's a lot of joy in this ride that I really enjoy.
Yeah,
I really enjoy.
Jennifer Lewis wrote it 3-4 times in a row. So if Mama Odie herself gives it a stamp of approval, I think we should just
and that
fall in
clip
line.
of her singing on the ride, I would have lost it.
However, as members of the media, the Hollywood Reporter should have their access revoked, considering they were filming on the ride when they shouldn't have been.
Well, I know, but I'm
wait,
so
were they
glad
filming
did.
from their
from their log?
I believe they were stuck. So she just started singing.
Yeah, and they all started singing
How'd
along.
they get their phone?
Oh,
somebody else must have had a phone. That's fine. Well, anyway, we will move on from this, and like Craig said, we'll probably talk about it a little bit more once it finally has that grand opening. You know, and obviously, you know, I'm excited for other people to really get out there and experience it and see what they have to say about it. You know,
really quick before we move on from
I said no. Okay.
No. Did you guys like the merch? I'm excited about the merch.
Yes, and you know who I saw? I saw those plush critters, and I think I've decided the possum with the base is
your fave.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I purposely was going to leave that out of this one. I know everyone's going to post. Everyone's probably already posted about it, but you can't buy anything until the attraction opens, and they've already said like the Critter Co-op isn't going to open until.
The attraction officially.
Well, no, I believe they said the merchandise is going to be in the Emporium when it opens, and then eventually Critter Co-op will open,
probably
which
keep that area
is a little
congested.
bit. Yeah, I think it's mostly that, and there will probably be a line to get in there. So I think maybe the Emporium is a little bit more manageable with it, but it's ready. The Critter Co-op is completely finished inside. All the merchandise is in there. So maybe on the week before it opens, we'll do the full merch rundown again, so people can get a.
Well, I did a video while I was in there, so
Rhino has a video in there. That'll come out eventually.
You taking us shopping?
I did. I took everyone shopping. I took you on a tour. There was a cast member too that showed me some of the little little fun stuff that I didn't know, like, the shoulder flyer flies, stuff like that. But there was the thing I want, the thing I think is super cute is that can with the
restaurant fund. With
but it's like it comes with like chocolate coins in it or whatever.
Cute.
And I'm like,
That's
someone else
clever.
can have those. I just want the little tin, so I do use. I am one of those people where if I have cash, I break it, and then I don't use the change. I put it in a little piggy bank still, so I like that. But.
And after we lose our jobs, it will be perfect for you to
beg
donations.
On the corner?
Yes.
That's fine.
It's my restaurant fund, so I can go eat at a restaurant, not actually open one.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, as part of this event too, and it's already open to the public, is Communicore Hall, the Mickey and Friends meet and greet, and Celebracion and Encanto all opened yesterday, and we had the chance to experience them on Monday evening on what I believe was probably the hottest day of the year so far. Hot, kids. It's been very, very hot here, but it was interesting. I feel like here's what I'm going to say. So Craig,
where do you want to start?
You already talked about the meet and greet, right? You had mentioned that on the show. Let's talk about the meet and greet first.
Yeah, I talked about that more, I believe, on the post show.
Yeah.
Because,
okay.
Maybe it was right at the end of the show. Meet and greet. It's small, compact, and I think. There's definitely issues with it. For the first being, the meet and greet is indoors, but the entire queuing experience is outdoors. And so they do have fans and stuff, but that we still know if you don't have to wait outdoors, don't wait outdoors. Yeah. So why they didn't just enclose most of this building is beyond me. All it would have taken was just finish the walls,
or just an awning extension off to the side. This is actually the same type of development issue they had when they built Lights, Motors, Action. There was no covered queue, and they would line people up for an hour and a half early, and they finally built a queue like 5 years later. So I'm like, it wouldn't take much. This literally just needs a lip off the side.
Yeah, I mean, and it needed a full wall down. It needed that. Give people air conditioning. Have some outdoor queue if it overflows and you need it. But for the most part, keep it all inside. But I mean, there are like
just
these really. Yeah, exactly. Like there are cute murals that they added with this. Like the one side, it's Mickey and Friends in kind of like futuristic outfits. On the other side, from the outside, you're looking at it, and they got Figment in, and the original World of Motion and Dreamfinder's up there. They include the Energy Pavilion. It's all really cute, and the touches continue on inside. But I realized that when I went to do it all, I recorded all vertical, so that doesn't really showcase well on a show. So I didn't really include a lot of it.
You don't say.
But I know. I don't know why I did that, but my mind just wasn't working that day. We all know, but where Mickey and Goofy and Minnie are, we thought maybe there was just one backdrop for all of them. They'd switch in and out. That's not the case. You meet all three right in a row. Boom, boom, boom.
Nice, good.
And they each have different Epcot-themed backgrounds that are extremely cute. It's just there's so much good inside to look at, and it's all. The design of it is all done so well.
I love all the bright colors.
I do too.
That's all perfect. But just the way that you have to queue up for the meet and greet was a miss in my book.
And that's tough at opening right, before summer, because every day is going to be hot. Every day is going to have rain. So, people are going to definitely experience all that.
You can do a lightning lane for this too, which I thought was cool.
Interesting.
I do like that idea that adding some character meet and greets to lightning lane, especially at Walt Disney World, navigates that situation a little bit easier, because we don't have that luxury that they get at Disneyland where they just wander. Not point. Usually. Sometimes, every now and then we get one, and it's really cool, and I like that idea. Like that bird, Kevin. He's always on the loose.
That's
true.
I do like that. It's pretty good.
Where's he at?
Is
he in there?
Yeah.
Is he in there?
His little arm.
Okay. We have to talk about it. Celebracion and Encanto.
No, I wanted to do that one last but
we have to.
This show. So my vibe for this show is
high energy dancing.
Yeah, and they were in
the very
especially
end of the show, the last 2 minutes.
This guy right here in the bottom right.
He's doing the most.
Of all the dancers, he was like ready to live his best dancing life. And good
if
for
anyone
him.
out there knows him, Rhino would like his phone number.
I do like his haircut.
Like
So I feel like this space is interesting. I mean, it's a stage, it's a plaza, it's a multi-purpose stage, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. But the show itself feels a little late to me. Like, it feels like Disneyland. I'm going to keep talking about Disneyland, and people are just going to be so upset about it, but whatever. They had a projection show for We Don't Talk About Bruno. It was a 5-minute thing. Yes. They projected it, and it was
on Small
just
World.
The song on Small World, and people loved it. I loved when they would do it because I just loved listening to all these people singing in the park and everything. And it was just like, I don't know. It's that thing where, like, you know, that storytelling of music, how it like brings people together, and it's like cool to see it in action. And it had it like right away, basically, you know, or within the year, I think. I can't even remember. But this is one of those where this feels, I don't want to be rude. It feels, there's a small part of me where this does not feel inherently Disney. It's like someone's mother put on a TV in the other room at daycare, and it's like a thing. And that's fine. It's definitely aimed for younger children, for sure. But it is like it is a sing-along, which is fine. Yeah. The songs are out of order, I think. In the movie,
it all bounced around. It was more about which song do we want to go with which vibe and attitude with it. The one thing I want to say is that if you've seen the Frozen sing-along, you've seen other sing-alongs, I mean, you know how Disney does these. However, this was like...
No, but they have narrators.
Hey, let me finish.
No, because you're the second person to say that.
It's... The idea of it is it's like those shows. If they said, okay, we want to do this, we don't have a budget to do it like we do that. So how can we do this with just a couple of dancers and then only 2 hosts that are more there, less there to just connect in between, like 30 seconds or so in between each one. And that's what it is. So same idea, just a complete, I don't want to say downgrade because that feels... It is kind of a downgrade in that way.
That's what I was afraid of.
But it's a limited time offering. And I know yesterday I was talking to my friend Mike from Blog Mickey, and he said the guests were losing their minds yesterday over it.
Oh,
the
kids were
I
think kids are going to love it.
Freaking blast. Adults were getting into it. When they showed it to a media group that was full of mostly only adults and very few kids, it was awkward. No one knew what to make of it. We weren't the right audience for it.
Funny, actually.
But
they were also
apparently guests loved it. And
right
that's
up
what's
there.
important.
I said it too. I was watching. I mean, I took a picture. Everybody, apparently, I'm average height. I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
But everybody who does this is apparently 6'2" and above, and they all step right up in front and raise cameras over their heads. When you are the person the first in the line, you do not have to raise a camera over your head.
I would
but
agree.
it's one of those things where it's like everybody doing that, and that's fine. Whatever, but it's one of those things where I was like, this obviously won't be the normal thing where there's a wall that you can't see over, and they won't let shorter people in front of them, I hope.
Also,
but
I don't know. You don't know Disney World, I feel like, with like summer crowds. And
it happens. Another thing to point out with it, this only happens during the daytime. At night, it's transitioning into a Latin band, and they were playing... absolutely fantastic.
That was great.
I
liked that a lot.
It was a really cool energy. So I think
again, the music blaring in the park.
Yeah,
it was bringing this life, and it's it's going to be music where people be like, I don't know these songs. Like I mean, I knew a lot of them, but I also
it's a good time.
I would rather the stage be more used for something like this, and I mean that's part of the purpose of what it's being used for. The Encanto thing, to me, it's not a failure. I know Rhino says it's way past. However, I think Hannah would agree with me when your kid locks onto something, they just want to watch it over and over and over again. So while Encanto adults might feel...
Okay, listen, that's not a fair assessment. I don't like when people shove me out of the thing because I don't have a kid, but I'm 30 years I watched Power Rangers. I understand what it's like to watch something as a child and hold on to it.
Yeah,
just so we're clear.
I'm just
going to point that out. Whose desk has stuffed animals on it right now?
I agree with that. I think though when you were a kid and as you are in yourself the one doing it, you see it from a different perspective. When you've had to watch Frozen 2 twice a day.
It's Toy Story for me.
Like, yeah. And
Nightmare
it's
Before
just,
Christmas in my household.
It's different.
Same.
When you're the one who chooses to do it, it's like you don't notice it as much. But when someone else is doing it, it's like I would rather have a lobotomy at this point than hear Some Things Never Change one more time. Because things do change in the entire freaking movie. But like, so Encanto feels old at this point to most people, I think, because it's been out for a couple of years, except I'm sure it's still one of the highest streamers. It's like the fact
it's got great music, and that makes it timeless.
Well, and the fact that Moana, like, it's like, oh, out of nowhere, you know, the TV series that's being turned into a movie, the live action, it's because 8 years after its release, it's still the biggest streaming thing on Disney Plus.
I meant that I'm not saying it's old because it's old. I'm saying that this sort of show could have come out immediately after the movie came out.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous that this movie's been out for 4 years and this is what we got.
Yeah.
In relation to what you just said, what is probably one of their largest hits since Frozen.
Yeah,
That's what my complaint is.
I have a quick question.
Where do you put it though?
Sorry. I do think they should rotate. I would like to see other Disney films like Frozen, like Nightmare at Christmas would be great.
Yes, I need some more Nightmare Before Christmas.
I say that's a September through a January thing, and we get a little thing out there.
So
I guess what I meant with, like, before, now that you have a space like this that's definitely used for it, I think that would be good. But the only other place that, like, jumps out to me immediately for shows to rotate like this is the Cinderella stage. And I don't think Disney would ever have the audacity to.
No.
You could have put this in the center of Hollywood Studios. There's a little platform right there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't need anything blocking that theater again.
I think Disney Junior right in the courtyard.
It would be better than, if they wanted to build something more permanent in that courtyard, I'd rather have that than Launch Bay.
I mean, it would fit in too if it's like that younger kid. I mean, the space. The whole area looks cool, and I like that it's a multi-purpose space.
Yeah. Are the characters out the entire show?
No.
The last
that's a little
2
bummer.
minutes.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer.
Well,
that's what
they did. They did dance with people longer than I expected them to.
Okay.
That's a good point. So they come out for the last 2 minutes of the show, but then they continue to dance with people through the rest of their allotted time that they're allowed to be out there.
All right.
And then they go on their way. And not to like stick on the show too much, but we have to go inside the building too, because everyone on that media night posted about how incredible the inside of Communicore Hall was. They had a band in there. They had all these decorations. And again, it was one of those situations that you knew it wasn't going to look like it as soon as it actually opened. And that's a very weird, very pared down version of what we had on our first night. Lots of tables, lots of tables, lots of indoor space, but
and you can buy snacks in there, right?
No, not right now. So where the counter was that night where they had stuff, it's boarded up right now. And like many others, I do assume that it's because we are in between festivals, so they don't really know what to utilize this space for.
I just open it for the regular beer, wine, and drinks like they had it open for. It's a place for people to cool off
and spend money.
Also, like, it still fits in that garden because you're like, all right, well, if you're hanging out here for a rest stop, you can hang out in the shade or you can go inside over there.
That's it. It's tough. Before, we had a wasted hallway that existed in this space that people just sat down in. Now, we also have, once again, just a big space that feels kind of wasted that they'll be able to use for events. And I am sure we will be biting our words as soon as a festival happens and they spruce it up, they make it better. To me, the win is the outdoor courtyard portion that during festival season is probably going to be hopping. And I can't wait to see how this continues to grow in the future.
I was speaking to a cast member about that area outside with the band, and they were saying that they were like, I hope it stays. I'm not sure if it's just right tonight, but they're two back speakers. Like, so if the band faces forward, there's two back speakers facing out that were turned out, and they were saying they're hoping they leave them that way because it'll add a little bit more life into the gardens area and stuff, and have a little more entertainment and stuff. And then, honestly, for me, assuming they keep the budget for live entertainment and assuming that there is going to be a band there every day of the week, it does add a lot to the atmosphere of that area.
I also want to address something that Sam just said, saying it looks like a hotel conference center. While I don't disagree with you, that's also that's also what it needs to be right now when it's not being utilized for any festival or anything. If they came out of the gate making it look like they did in the Festival of Arts concept image of it when they probably thought that it was originally going to open, that's great. It looks great for that. But then it's not going to make any sense once you have all this installed artwork, once it rolls around to Flower and Garden and the theme is completely different, or Food and Wine. So yes, it looks like a blank canvas, and I think that's because of multiple reasons, because they are going to change, hopefully, the interior for each festival budget allowed. And then also, too, let's be real. This space will be rented out, I'm sure, for parties after park hours and 100%. Stuff. And the more blank it looks, the more it will be able to be transformed without really impacting anything. And that's just speculation on that. But
think about like when we did that event when it was like the 20 Years of Dreams or whatever. It was I don't remember what we did for Epcot. And we had Epcot, but we were our event was inside of Living with the Land. Now they don't have to do that. We probably would have been out in the space now, but
exactly.
I just think the building's a little smaller than I expected it to be. So that's kind of the thing where I'm like, I think this could have been twice as big, but that's fine.
Did you try any of the snacks that are available for Encanto? Can't remember, but
I tried the palette, the dish that it was like. Is that one of those? It's like on a painter's palette.
It's a tres leches and.
Excuse me. Oh no.
Tres leches and.
I usually don't try any. I actually didn't eat it all at that event, and I don't try to, because you get excited about something and then it doesn't show up on actual park service. And I literally ran over to get those photos today, so there was no time for food.
Gotcha.
But in the future,
snack it. Tres leches.
I want to
snack attack.
So I'm like,
snack attack.
No, we're supposed to go to Animal Kingdom.
Snack attack.
Well, that's snack attacks can happen anywhere. Just
that's fine.
Watch out.
And the shade would be preferred.
Yeah, that's right.
Air
with one of those
preferred.
fans umbrella combos.
All right, well, let's move on and talk about the thing that everyone was invited to except for me, and that is Out on the High Seas with Craig and Hannah. Had a chance to explore Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, Disney's newest destination in the Bahamas, over the weekend. And I want to hear your thoughts, because I looked at our friend, the Theme Park Express. What's his channel?
Theme Park Express, yes.
Oh, okay, that's right. And I saw all his videos and pictures of the flies, because they're on the cruise that's out there now. And my friends Kyle and John are out there right now. And so I'm just curious what your experience was compared to these experiences.
I love our pun on this title. That's great. It was pretty fly.
I thought it was pretty fly.
Yeah, it was.
Well, for a white guy.
Okay.
I was singing in my head immediately.
Okay.
So I know we haven't really done this in a long time, and we're obviously going pretty long on this show, so I apologize to people with it. But
figured we would.
I didn't want to pull like a million photos when we're talking about Lighthouse Point. So should we cut to a video so people can actually see the island and experience it in that way? Okay, we're gonna do that. So that way, then when we come back, Hannah and I can just kind of talk about whatever we do want to talk about with it.
Well, let's see.
Here we go. Oh, I'm still there. Okay, that was a look at
Wow, I felt like I was at the beach.
Yeah.
How relaxing.
So nice.
That's because people who were there were at the beach.
Well, what a beach and video you made.
Thank you. You know what? I wanted to showcase a little bit
that.
of the island, and I feel like I did, even though it's just a tiny, tiny bit of the island. So Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point is on the island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas. And so for people who don't know, that island is actually, I think it's the number 3 biggest island in the Bahamas. It has 2 airports there.
On the island?
Yeah, it's so Castaway Cay is an island that is solely there with Disney's purpose. This is, I think Carnival even has a kind of the same type of thing on this island as well too. It is massive.
Yeah.
I was talking to some of the people who were doing photography for Disney for it, and they were staying in a nice resort that was like an hour and a half north of the site. So this is an inhabited island that isn't just there for Disney's purpose. And because of that, conservation is a huge issue, that if Disney's leasing this land and putting their stamp on it and allowed to be there, they also have to, respect the land that they're allowed to use for this. And that jumps into the pier that everyone wants to talk about. And why is it a half a mile long pier? And that's why is it half a mile long? And why is the walk so far? And
can you get beers there?
You can't get beers. You should be able to get beers at the pier.
I know, that would be great.
Yeah. But no, it's solely because the closer the ship gets to it, it's going to dredge all the coral and it's going to ruin the entire environment. So that's why it has to be so far away. And it's one of those things where, yes, I don't think anyone expected that when we all pulled up.
I didn't either.
I knew from the little map, I was like, okay, there is a pier. No one expected it to be nearly that long. So yes, it was a shock, but
and I have to say, I feel like every picture, it almost looks longer. It looks comically long, like the way that it like curves and stuff. Like it looks like you're just like walking. I shouldn't have said that, but it does. It looks like you're just like walking off to the end of the world. So
yeah, those Instagram reels you guys posted, I was like,
yikes.
Oh wow,
yeah, it
oh my God.
Doesn't look great. Yeah.
It's perspective. It's the same way, like, it's that thing when you, like, drive in Florida and you're from somewhere, like where I'm from, Massachusetts, like, versus driving here where there's a lot of, like, really long, flat straightaway. All the land in Florida is flat.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I'm going nowhere. Like, I can't, there's nothing, you keep going and just being like, I feel like I'm running into a never-ending horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was a shock to see it, but ultimately then you walk it. And I mean, even if you had to go very slow, you're still going to get, you're going to walk the pier in 20 minutes. But I think most people, they're going to be right in that 10 to 15 minute long walk with there. Disney has already started making changes to that too. They added cooling towels, I believe, at the halfway point. They have added like little carts little wagons that people can use if they have a lot of supplies and no way to carry them. So Disney's listening to that feedback, trying to make changes already with it. I promise you, it's not that big of a deal. And once you actually get to the main area, I don't know about you, Hannah. I was just absolutely blown away. Yeah. I have never been to a beach that I felt was so pristine with that clear actual water.
Oh, I agree.
It was clearer than clear water, and that has clear water right in the name.
Yeah.
Yes, the foliage has just been planted, so it will need time to grow. I wasn't at Castaway when it first opened, but I'm sure that also needed time to grow and mature and develop in areas. This will do the same. Like the nature walk where they just had the path going through an area that was already still like dense with vegetation and stuff. That was all lived in, but the areas where Disney did build all of their buildings, yes, that will take time to develop. And in 10, 15 years, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful.
I think in a year from now, or 6 months from now, even, like a lot of those like negative first impressions will have changed. Yeah. One thing about the piers, I will say, and I did talk about it like from a parent's perspective, is I'm going to have to bring a travel stroller. For me, there's no way around that because my son is 2, and so he wouldn't be able to do that walk, or he'd want to be carried. Just keep in mind you've got to fold it up to put on the tram. So yeah, I'll be bringing a stroller with me. But yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of the things that unfortunately ended up dominating the conversation are all fixable, or maybe, should have been planned differently. So I do feel like there need to be umbrellas along that pier. Like there needs to be some sort of shade.
Okay. I'm gonna squash that though, because everyone says umbrellas. Well, that implies
whatever.
That would imply, if you have benches, then maybe I'll take a seat halfway through and have an umbrella up. The only way that you're gonna get shade is if there's an awning that covers the entire thing, and maybe that is the route they should go. But like adding umbrellas on the side, it's like when Disney adds umbrellas to stuff. It's like, great, it's useful it's useful if you stop right under where the shadow is, and in 5 minutes it's probably in a different place already, and now it's worthless.
Right. So. I mean, something like that. And I mean, we know like that was supposed to be part of the plan. There was supposed to be that.
A shade?
Yeah. So I'm sure with the feedback, that's something they're going to add. I don't know if it's possible, but like, hey, would have loved a tram. I don't think it is possible, but not going to lie, that would have been nice, but I guess it would have had to have been wider. I don't know. But I mean, the walk is, if you're a healthy person, it's no big deal. If you're, need assistance, then,
Disney will provide it if you request it.
And they've got to work through some of the logistics on that. For our preview cruise, there were some hangups on that, but
it was the first time any of them had touched foot on the island.
Yes.
So
yeah. I mean, the crew, us, people, you're
going to have those issues. They have to figure it out. And this is a solid reason why it's great to say you were the first people and you were in the first ones. They have to learn it. It's not like they had these crew members they didn't stop magic sailings or fantasy sailings for an extended period of time so they could practice on the island for when everyone got there. They still ran, and they had to learn in the moment as this was all happening and unfolding. So
with guests,
it needs time, but ultimately, I get the idea of it would be nice to provide trams. It would be nice for all that stuff too, but it's the same thing. If you are moving around theme parks and you're able to make do with that, you can do this. If you have ever went from the Entrance of World Showcase back to American Adventure, you have done technically a longer walk than this pier is.
Yeah.
So it's not that daunting. The fly situation, I guess that's just what happens when you introduce food to an ecosystem that hasn't had it in that quantity for the longest time, and
they were hyped.
Nature found a way.
They did. That is true. So it's kind of funny. They, I'd never seen anything like it. Those little fans they had on the tables, those actually worked really well to keep the flies away, which I was surprised. So, I mean, there's things like that they can do. It's also the height of fly season. So, I mean, was it gross? Yes. I've got this like gnarly picture of like the rotisserie chicken with a bunch of flies on it. I just chose not to eat that. I get why people will be bummed and grossed out about it. I think that will get resolved.
Yeah.
But
I don't. So that's the hard part. I don't know how they resolve it. I don't know if it's a thing where time just happens, or they say, you know what, we promised we didn't want to make too much of an impact, but we've got to spray pesticides all over the place or something. I don't know the solution to it, but it is, unfortunately, it is disgusting. I was, as we were at the counter looking at the food, and I saw that there was only a couple dishes where like truly nothing was touching it. I'm like, okay, I'll go for the rice dish because I know they can scoop all the way under and give me rice that hasn't been touched yet. And I tried to shovel it down as much as possible, but I literally couldn't eat anything else because that's we've all been at barbecues where the fly lands on your food and it's okay. But when it's like 50, it was unappetizing. And I hope they can find a solution because it's one of those things where it will start turning people off from the island. And I would hate for that with everything else because it is such a beautiful spot. It is. I thought the beach aspect of it was perfect. I know the people on the Fantasy are complaining about lack of chairs. I'm not sure if it's a lack of chairs down by the ocean or if it's a lack of chairs in general, because Hannah and I disagree on this. I thought there was a ton of beach chairs in the dunes right before you get to the ocean. She seemed to think that there wasn't a lot, but I think...
I mean, I think there were a lot. I was just curious because, the Magic is obviously much smaller than the Fantasy.
The Theme Park Express is on the Fantasy, and I've heard because this morning before the show, I went through his feed to look at what was going on, and he said that the chairs are...
Yeah, so I just don't
need
know,
more.
But,
Yeah.
But
and they added fans to help with the flies, but I think they're too low. They need to be higher. But
it's the flies are getting used to the fans, and they will.
They're growing more powerful.
That's right.
They're getting stronger.
Yeah, they're going for
it's Jurassic Park all over again.
They're going for a natural fix, but the flies they're going to get used to it. It's kind of like when the flies eventually learn how to stay away from the swatter. It just happens. But
they should start selling branded fly swatters. That would be really fun.
Honestly, that would be genius.
Like the little electric ones. I mean, so I don't know. Are we giving overall thoughts at this point?
Yeah, I'm still the one. I don't want to harp too long. I'm very excited to see what everyone says on the Fantasy when they get back because with the chairs, I do want to know. They only had 2 rows on the beach for the actual chairs, and then it only extended from the basically the Goombay Cultural Center area down to just before Serenity Bay, maybe a little bit into Serenity Bay, but there wasn't a lot of beachfront access with chairs, but there were a ton in other places, and I want to know if when people say there's a lack of seating, is it a lack of seating where you want a seat or in general? But there is a lack of seating with the food as well, too. There's 5 pavilions at True True Barbecue, 4 pavilions at True True 2 Barbecue, and then 2 little small sections at Serenity Bay Barbecue, and it was filled up with the Magic at peak dining hours where people couldn't get a seat. So I imagine with the Fantasy, it was probably just a freaking nightmare.
Perhaps. One thing I did like about the seating area there is that it is covered. And for me, I like going to the Serenity Bay Barbecue at Castaway. So it was nice to not be eating in the sand without umbrellas. That was nice. I like that. It did feel cooler underneath there. So that was good.
Yeah. Did you guys have any issues with signage?
Yes.
The signage is not.
I've heard that too.
I don't know if it's one of those things we're allowed to share, but I'm sure someone already has. They estimate that the island was probably at about 80% finished. Yeah. Okay. So signage still has to be placed out. There's still photo ops that need placed out. The bikes haven't been delivered yet. I don't think the bike and walking path have been finished yet. If you don't want to go if you don't want to ride the tram, there is that option available, but it's not ready yet.
Don't do it right now. Please do not do it because we were tempted to do it because I'm thinking, and that's kind of the theme of this, I'm thinking Castaway in my head. And then when we got on the tram, I was like, there's no way because there's a lot of it. It's just really sandy. It's not a paved walkway or a boardwalk. It is just
the part from the trams forward, not the part from the ship, right?
No, the trams
forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say at least for a while you need to ride the tram.
Yeah.
And that's as a healthy person who technically would be able to walk it, but it's just so sandy and dusty and hot.
Yeah.
It's not really covered.
I agree with that. So my final overall impression of it that I shared a little bit in the vlog, so I definitely want to hear from you on this,
because I wasn't in the vlog.
I know.
Thank you to the one person who noticed.
Well, you spent an hour in a merch line that if you would have just went back at the end of the day, you would have waited.
No, they didn't have this in my size.
How did you get that?
Because I went early.
No, wait. You didn't have that in your size, though. I'm saying,
no. Later in the day, they didn't have it in my size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you felt vindicated.
I felt vindicated.
When I was in there, every piece of merch that I saw had every single size still. So
not this. I bet you weren't looking at this.
I looked at every piece of
For
merchandise.
our listeners, she is grabbing and holding a coral-themed Spirit jersey.
It's a very loud print. It's coral.
I like it.
And it matches my aesthetic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I also brought some other merch. Just got my snacks in it for later. But they have the local artists that make these. You can get these most places in the Bahamas, but they have the Disney characters on it. And then, hey, for $3 more, you can get your name put on it.
I thought it said ha ha ha, and I was like, why would you get laughter embroidered on it?
I know.
I can't
For
read
all the people that
clearly.
laugh at me, it's fine.
So the Disney shop with the Disney official merchandise is Disney Things.
Disney Things.
And the local artists are allowed
I
to
didn't do
set up in. I'll talk about that in a second with my overall thoughts. The other shop is the Treasures of Eleuthera, and that is where the local artisans are allowed to actually set up their shops. And those purses were and bags were extremely popular. I think that'll be a good thing. But
I saw some photos of
it's
those.
It's a personalized souvenir, and it's made by a local.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Cool.
And
I like it.
that's kind of my summary of the island, because I know there's so many people complaining about how it's not Disney enough, and it looks like it could be anywhere. And I think that's just not translating with.
Because I don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either, but I also don't think Castaway screams Disney outside of a couple small areas. Beyond that,
what's the one we went to when we did that podcast cruise where we we went to Mexico at one point? We were on Royal Caribbean, right? Mm-hmm. And we went to their island. You know what I mean? Like, it's all perspective of like what you think. I don't know. That had a lot going on.
The podcast cruise we were on, Royal Caribbean's, I believe their Haitian island, and because that was while they were redoing Coco Cay into Perfect Day.
Oh, maybe. But I thought we were in Jamaica.
Yeah, because that is the port of Falmouth in Jamaica that Royal Caribbean invested in to have
I'm just getting
look like that.
Up.
But any ships can dock there.
Gotcha.
But Royal Caribbean invested the money, from what I remember, to make it look as nice as it does.
As someone who didn't go, obviously, yet, and doesn't have anything on the cards, like the cards, is I did get to meet Keith David last night.
I saw that. That was very
I was
cool.
like, I can't. I love Keith David, and I saw him at a convention once, and it was just one of those where I was like, I hope I get to meet that guy.
Was it weird hearing his voice like in real life?
Yeah, I walked up to him with two other people because they were like, we're too embarrassed, and I said, well, we'll go as a group, and then I won't feel embarrassed when I said, Mr. David, can I bother you? We're three people that are too embarrassed to come up here as one person. And he said, well, why would you be embarrassed? And I said, because you're a legend. And he went, no. And so he was very cool, very nice, and it was incredible to hear him say it right into my ear. So, but my perspective on like the island with anything with Disney, anything not Disney, anything. I get why people want to be the first, but in my life, in the 9 years I've been here, I seem to be that person now who's like, I think I like to go like 3 weeks later. You know what I mean?
It's a good strategy. Yeah. It is.
It's fortunate to be able. It is fortunate to be able to have had the opportunity to experience some of these previews, and some have gone off without a hitch. They've been ready to go from months ahead of time, and then there are things sometimes where it is like the faulty, and it happens at any theme park. It's not just Disney. It happens at Universal, where they're like, shoot, we probably should have waited a little bit longer, but we're going to push it. And, it's kind of a coin flip where you as a guest get to figure that out until you get there. So it is like some days it is ready to. Some days you get the giraffe. Some days you get the wig.
Yeah, it's a tough battle. I know people want to see it at its first, and they want to see it at its best. And I think there is a very, unfortunately, lately it seems like there's a very fine window with that where it is at its best, and you can be the first. Usually, if you're the first, it's not ready. Or if you don't see it first, then you only see stuff that works like for a month, and then it never works again.
It's the iPhone situation.
Exactly.
Ooh,
iPhones.
True. I feel that.
Always gone out of service. If you just wait one more month, it's like, okay, now I can get it.
But to wrap up my thoughts with it, saying the Disney touches in there, it is there the same way it is in a better way, actually, in Castaway, because they worked with Bahamian artists that I believe, Hannah, you sat through a similar, if not the same group panel, where you got to hear the actual Bahamian people who worked on this island, the musician that did all the remixes into like Disney songs, but redone in a style that you would hear in the Bahamas, or the muralist who said who literally wrote the guideline for Imagineers about these are the textures you need to use, the colors. This is what this animal could be represented in this way. You had these artists who are there and live there, breathe there. they are the people of that island saying this is the way to show our culture. And so then you have Imagineers doing it in the way that Imagineers bring Disney to everything. Yeah. So while you are not smacked in the face with Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, anything like that, it is still there, and you can feel that Disney spirit when you're on the island. And to me, that's all that's important. It felt more like an Alani to me. It felt more like an accurate representation of a culture than it did a Disney theme park. And that's what I was looking for, and it delivered on that.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I feel like I had to let it marinate almost a little bit. And even though it was not my intention, I feel like going into it, I compared it too much to Castaway Cay purely because I love Castaway Cay and I have so many fond memories there. And it is in so many ways just completely different than Castaway Cay, but it is stunning. Same. I've never seen water that beautiful, that clear. The sand is soft. There's hardly any shells. And so it is just like when you're out there in that water, like it is absolute perfection. And, the Bahamian influence, I think, really shines through. And like for me, watching that Junkanoo parade with like the characters leading it, it was awesome. Yeah. It was, it was beautiful. It was fun. And to see the Disney characters immerse in that, like it felt like Disney. And you're talking about the panel. There was a moment, I think it was the expert they brought in on the culture of Junkanoo, and she was talking about so the cultural center, there's a craft activity where you can make Junkanoo headbands, and she was saying that there was a little girl there with a disability who she could tell was like reluctant to participate. And as soon as though she made that headpiece and put it on, she's like had the biggest smile on her face, then proceeded to like dance and be a part of the parade. And she was like, this is why what we do is important. Mm-hmm. So to see that little girl, like she was like, I don't know where she's from, I don't know what her life experience is, but to see that joy brought to her, that is the magic of Disney storytelling. That is why Disney is different. And so I think the thing about the island is like, you're going to need to go and take your family and make those memories, have that experience. So even though like not everything was perfect, I'm not going to, try to like
enough about those.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to make excuses for it. I left that day very excited and thinking like, I cannot wait to take my family back here. Also the food for me, like I love that menu, even if it wasn't where it needed to be. Like I think like they're having, again, like it being different and having more of that Bahamian influence. Like it's only a good
These are important things to me.
Yeah. Right. They are. That's what I care about the most. And this is what's going to make it timeless, and like different than going to any other beach destination. And I think like once you experience that and make those own memories, plus that beach is stunning and that is not changing. Like I have never, like my dad's retired Coast Guard. I've spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, on the beach, wherever. And like, I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that. And I can't wait to go back there again.
Yeah, I cannot wait as well, too. And I think it's just like the Disney ships. I do believe it is the same quality as Castaway Cay. Yes, there are some very questionable things that we have already talked about. And yeah, there is no cutoff from Serenity Bay to the rest of the family areas.
Yeah.
It bleeds right into it. So for people who like to feel like I want to be away from kids, and that's the beauty of Serenity Bay, Castaway Cay is for you. Unfortunately, that's they're not going to switch the cabanas up and change all that up. So it is what it is. I do think they should have made more of a cut off there so it didn't just bleed together, but that's a knock on it.
Oh, but you know what, though? Okay, for me, so the opposite of that, though, is once you do the half-mile walk, do the tram ride, it takes a hot minute. Once you're there, everything's a little bit more condensed. And so as somebody who is, like, newish to having a family, I liked that I could still have that Serenity Bay experience, but then, like, quickly be at the, like, the splash pad area. Okay. For me, it was like a positive. I wasn't having, like, I didn't feel so far removed from it, because when I hopefully go back with my family, I am hoping that the grandparents will come, take my child to do that, and then I can escape the Serenity Bay, but then be back with my family and my kid in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I see that.
And that splash pad is bomb.com.
Yeah.
It is so cool. So if you got kids, you got family, or you're not like a big beach person, like, you got plenty of stuff to do. Yeah. You don't feel like you have to like just park it in your chair all day. You can like get up and do stuff. So.
Both water play areas are a lot of fun.
There too.
Everyone's going to have their favorite DCL ship. Everyone's going to have their favorite island destination. Yeah, we're out of time for that. Country Bear Jamboree, right?
I was going to say I am bored with this.
I know,
but that's just because I wasn't there. But also, I know that people get a little
emotional.
a little touchy, because we do have a Disney Cruise Line show. So I'm sure there will be more information on it over there. And then if this did interest you and you are interested in going to that new island, don't forget about Dreams Unlimited Travel. You can price all that out with an agent. It's a free, no obligation quote. So dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. But just 2 more news stories to run through here really quick. And one of those is that Disney announced the opening date for Country Bear Musical Jamboree, which will be July 17th. Disneyland's birthday, along with the new concept art for the show. I am very excited about this. We also got treated to a performance of the young lady who sings Try Everything. I cannot remember her name.
Ann Roberts.
Okay, I was going to call her Anne Mahoney Shea, so that's clearly I was way off. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think this is opening a lot sooner than people expect. I know the rumor was like August, but July 17th, baby, I will be there. I can't wait.
Same.
I'm so excited.
Yep.
We got to meet we got to see Big Al and Wendell and Wendell's new like fringe vest I really like. So that was a lot of fun.
Giving very Ken.
Yeah.
Ken-ergy.
We're just not talking about it because they said flat out, they're like, this is a special event happening for you and it could be used in the future. We don't know that for sure, so don't say it's happening again.
Okay.
So, whoops. Well, I wasn't listening. I was too excited.
But people saw the picture. I'm sure,
well, they did. I posted on my Instagram. So, but yeah, that was cool, and it would be nice to see. Like, hopefully, there are walk around Country Bear Jamboree characters in the future. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Last but not least, Disney shared an update. Literally, I was in the theater. My friend Chloe said, when are we gonna hear more about the Little Mermaid show? And I said, I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah. They haven't talked about that in forever. Lo and behold, they shared an update on the Little Mermaid, a musical adventure coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios later this year. The new show will be full of practical and projected scenic design, as well as real and digital puppetry. They're using motion capture technology like they use in the movies to create digital animation for characters to help bring them to life in bigger ways than ever before. And Disney did show some new concept art for the show as well. I think this is. I will miss the lasers. So, but I think this looks cool. I'm interested to see how it all kind of looks once you're in that theater. Specifically, this concept art they had shared of Ursula during the finale scene with the sunken ship, and everything. So,
from how they describe the show, it's not your grandma's Little Mermaid undersea, whatever it's called, at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's not that old show. This will have it obviously has the same story. It will have those touches, but they're taking this one seriously.
I was glad to see that.
I mean, it's a head scratcher for me because they could have used that space to tell something new, because I feel like Ariel's attraction in Magic Kingdom is a definitive storytelling of that. They could have used this space for perhaps an Encanto sing-along show or something like that. But the fact that they are, I mean, that was just a poke. I'm not going to poke you any further. But yeah, no, they are invested in this. So I can't wait to see when it opens. When that
later
is,
this year?
We don't know.
Also,
December 31st.
I mean, it's exciting. July, we've got the Country Bear Jamboree, a new version of that show, and then we're going to get Little Mermaid, by the end of the year too, and then we'll also be in the Halloween and Christmas seasons, and so it's like there's a lot to look forward to. Tiana's Bayou in June, so that's one of those things where, again, the discourse right now being what's Disney doing to answer to Universal, and I'm like, Disney is finally, I feel like, starting to chug along again in a way that maybe we were more used to pre-pandemic, like with the onslaught of like Galaxy's Edge coming toward us and everything like that. And I know it's just that we love it and we get obsessed with it and we want to know what's next, because .com, and they'll help you out with that today. Again, it is a free, no obligation quote, and it costs you nothing extra on your trip. And then also to our Patreon supporters, stay tuned, because we will be doing our live Patreon post show immediately following this show, or maybe a minute or two, because I am starving. Okay, that's the problem with the show at 1. So if you are watching this on YouTube, again, I just remind you, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that bell to get notified whenever we publish new content. And for those of you out there listening, hey, I see you. Not literally, because that's terrifying, so I'm not in your backseat. But if you get a second and you want to rate and review the podcast, that would be wonderful. And thank you for your continued support, everybody. There were plenty of good suggestions for outros this week, but we're going to keep it short and sweet. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you real soon. And like I said, yummy, yummy.